Hello. Welcome everyone to today's teaching, and welcome of course to Geshe-la who's here. Thank you so much, Geshe-la, for coming. I hope you can hear me. Yes, it seems you can hear me. So firstly, I'd like to just very quickly introduce Sisters in Spirit to you. Actually, it's the Independent Dharma project that I started in November 2020, feeling quite isolated during the pandemic. And the idea of the project is to bring Dharma teachings, Buddhist teachings, the teachings of wisdom and compassion to as many contemporary people as possible, and with an intersection, looking at how non-duality intersects with ecological issues, with queer feminism, with disability studies. And so towards that end, we have been organizing different foundational study and practice programs, interviews, and different workshops. And as part of our foundation study and practice program, second phase, I am so pleased that Geshe-la has accepted our humble invitation to give these very precious teachings on the most profound subject in Buddhism, which is the wisdom of emptiness, and of course, dependent origination, which is the other side of emptiness. So as Geshe-la says very often, this is the final medicine to remove all our sufferings, all our fears, and to become completely fearless and have infinite happiness. And as he says very often, it's very important that we are like a blank cloth, and the dye, that the color, the first color which is put on this cloth, is very important. And so the first teachings we receive on this very profound subject matter should ideally be from a highly qualified teacher, an authentic lineage teacher. So we're so happy that Geshe-la, who's a great scholar and a great practitioner and has the blessings of so many amazing lineage teachers, is giving us this two-part teaching today. Geshe-la needs no introduction. I think you all know of his great activities. I specifically want to say that almost single-handedly, Geshe-la is the primary teacher for the Nalanda diploma courses, the Nalanda master's course, which is running out of Tibet House. It's like a mini university with more than 1,000 people across 50 countries from benefiting from these programs, including myself. I am a student of Geshe-la. And I also want to thank Nivita Arora, who is here and also assisting in all the activities of Sisters in Spirit. And without her support, it would be impossible to make this happen. So I welcome all of you wholeheartedly and don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you so much for signing up for these teachings. Over to Geshe-la. Thank you so much, Geshe-la, for joining us.
Thank you so much. Okay. First of all, it is a great joy for me that Tejala made a request, and before this request, she gave me the idea how this the assistant spirit, how it came into being. And I was really very impressed that anybody who does something for somebody, that's so precious. Work, in other words, working for others, going beyond yourself, is just so precious. And I really appreciate her efforts. And then next comes the request. And of course, the going through my calendar, there are so many requests coming, so many more to come. And Tejala was a little hesitant as to how to go about it, and said that we get only one slot. And I said, don't worry, we can have 2 slots. Okay, so what I'm saying is that this is a very important topic, particularly when it comes to emptiness we can't expect to just explain this in one session. It will not have much benefit if it's just done in one session. Ideally speaking, minimum, so that people require like a few years, like 20 years. And yeah, this is what is required. But at least if not 20 years, at least like two days is good. If not 2 complete days, at least 2 sessions is good. So we said that we'll make it 2 sessions. Okay. And then interestingly, this group, I can see that it is the combat. I was expecting totally, say, the newcomers. And while I do see some who look like newcomers, who may not be, who might be a part of NMC or NDC, but many of my longtime friends are also here. Sumitji here, since we have been friends for the last many years, almost like 13, 14 years. Then we have the Piali here, and then Priyanka here, and then we have many. I can see that the many faces who are very, very familiar. Okay, and then yeah, so then those who are currently doing the NMC, Nalanda Master's course, Damdul course, and so forth. Okay, in fact, we are together here, and okay, Sandeepji here. Okay, so we are all here. As Tejala rightly indicated, that it was because of this COVID that people really go through challenging times. And then some of my friends also, they go through very difficult times. And okay, how many of you really felt that it was quite a tough time for me meaning for you? Okay, raise hands. Okay, so that is okay, this is quite true. In fact, with the lockdown, and then about like the month of May last year, 2020, month of May, around the May, June, around that time, I heard the news of my extremely close friend, just passed away to COVID. Extremely sad, very, I could not really believe the loss of this gentleman. And so with all the things like the plasma transfusion and so forth, still the doctors could not save him. So we lost him. And it was extremely painful. And then to be connected with people who really went through difficult times, say a family, a mother and 2 children, and the father died. And then nobody even dared to come to their family or to console them for condolence. Nobody could come. And then, of course, everybody had to live in fear. Everybody had to live in fear that if you go there, again, around you, there's number of people in your circle, something happened to you, again, more pains are created. So this is extremely painful situation, and I could really empathize with them. I could also feel the pain, and the people losing the jobs, and acutely painful, and people not having anything to eat. They have to walk like 1,000 kilometers in the heat of Delhi, heat of India, the North India. It was really painful, really painful. So the point is that whether or not we can do something with this. This is a question, big question. And then the topic that is chosen is the how to come out of fear, how to traverse to the state of fearlessness from the state of fear. So for that matter, what is fear? And now that the people of this generation who experience the COVID, the lockdown, and the whole 1 year loss to the COVID, we have that experience as to what it means by fear. And that is across the board of the humanity. Animals were not, I'm not too sure if they can contract COVID, but they are totally, they have no idea that's COVID or not COVID. But although we did not contract COVID, still there's a fear there within us that anytime I can contract COVID. And this does not spare anyone, even the kings, queens, prince, prime ministers, presidents, and the ordinary people like us. Everybody went through this problem. This is reality. So this is what a fear means, particularly I think around the time April, I say people were busy giving the talks to counsel the public as how to get rid of this fear, the feeling of uncertainty. It was so acute, and this feeling of uncertainty, feeling of fear. So how to get rid of this? This is a big question, and had it been the case that I was to talk on this topic, I say like the totally out of context of the COVID, and we can take it very lightly. But then, given that we all have had this experience, we know what a fear is, and it's extremely unpleasant feeling within us. So the question is, we know what it is, but then we don't really know what it is from the point of view of this psychology. How in our psychology, what's going in our mind when the fear arises, the feeling of the uncertainty, the fear of the uncertainty. So okay, I can do my best. So I may not go to get the groceries, and I will order it online, and the groceries come, but then somebody should have touched it. Somebody should have touched it. That person could have COVID, and then which touched anything in what came to your door, so anything. So how are you going to sanitize everything? It is next to the impossibility. So in other words, to be 100% sure that I will not have COVID, it is nobody can do it. Nobody can do it. That we have to live in some form of possibilities there that I can contract COVID. And once contract COVID, it does not matter how old you are. And initially, the elders and the very tender younger ones, like the babies, they can be badly affected. But later on, we come to see that many youngsters, age 20s, 30s, they also died to COVID. So this is the reality. From this, and this reality, this reality is not just the COVID. COVID is one example. I'm not creating more fear in you, but this is reality. We have to acknowledge the reality. Only when you acknowledge the reality, then you will look for the solution. That becomes the real spiritual search. That becomes the real wise person who look for a lasting solution. Otherwise, it's COVID. Okay, I get a jab, and then the 2 jabs, and everybody gets it. Okay, we're all free from COVID. But then the next can be what? We never know, right? Okay, the next can be more serious, COVID. So like the British COVID strain, something like British strain, right? So this again is just a little bit of, say, the new development. But then can be totally different thing can happen anytime. We never know. Well, tsunami, nobody can actually predict so precisely that, okay, this is tsunami. So with the satellite, we can predict to some extent, but oftentimes the tsunami simply wash away everything. And the next day, the city, the whole town is wiped out. In the, in Taiwan, once I was there in Taiwan, And then I got to that spot where the people, they were explaining to me that overnight, the whole village was washed away by the landslide. Overnight. So yesterday, it was just so lively village. And the next day, it's just gone. Nothing there. So the point is that it doesn't mean that, you know, we should be scared of these things. So the point is that if there's no way out, then of course, better not listen to these things. You better not listen to the news also, because news, they add up many things. They say they exaggerate many things. They make things just, you know, they make mountain out of moles. This is what the news, they do. Not all news, some are very good, but then this is the job. So the point is that we do have problems. The fears are there, but whether or not there's a solution. How do we distinguish between ordinary people and the evolved people? Ordinary people, they worry about the fear, that's it. And the wise people, they worry about the fear, and they look for ways it means to get out of the fear. This is the wise people. So for them, the encounter with the fear, this is a blessing in disguise for the wise people. So the wise people, when they come to realize, wow, that's amazing. Because of this fear, I'm able to look for the solution. And I got the solution. That's amazing. I got the solution. So without encountering with this fear, I would have never looked for this solution. And then anytime this problem can happen, and I'm left totally helpless. Okay, one of my friends, that was like, I think 40 years ago, when he was suffering from tuberculosis. Just imagine, like 40 years ago, the whole medical system was not as developed as today. And just imagine, he was suffering from the 4th grade tuberculosis. 4th grade means no medication. You are just to wait for your last day. And then he's still alive today. He's still alive. Okay. So what happened was that he had this problem, and then he was diagnosed with the 4th grade tuberculosis, and then he became so desperate. And he is a really good practitioner. As a very young boy, still he was a very good practitioner. Mentally, he already gave up. And whatever little that he had, he already made offerings to, you know, this teacher, that monastery, and so forth. But his friends, they are there to help him to look for some medications. And then looking for in those days, no mobiles, there's the computers, the computers only with the very big institutions or the research laboratories. Otherwise, for the common people, we don't have these gadgets. And the communication is very difficult. And then just imagine, just let us listen to this, and then the sense of urgency to get out of these problems, get out of the fear will come to us. And then you look for the solution, including myself. And once you find the solution, you can really sigh, you can really breathe with a deep sigh of relief that now I've found a solution. Now I'm not scared of anything else. Okay. So what happened was that his friends were looking for, say, the medicine in India. And in India, no medicines available. And then they say this situation got to, say, the higher level, the more educated, more influential people. And then they felt so sympathetic towards this young monk. And they did research. Research means real research, not like today, just Google search. No, real research. And some of them found, very influential people found say, a company which produced the medicine for the tuberculosis, the 4th grade in Japan. And that too was old information, not a new information. And the information given to him. And luckily, one of his friends, meaning one of the earlier roommates, was in Japan. And the people helped him to get in touch with that monk there in Japan to see if it, and what information he got was that, yes, there was the company already shut down. If somebody were to buy the medicine, company is ready to produce it, but minimum you have to buy like for 500, I say the patients, minimum. Without this, the company will not spend money just for like $100. The company will not invest so much. So somehow, I don't know how, he was really lucky. And then somehow through all the different ways, means, whatever, he got the medicines. So this is how he survived. What I'm saying is that the necessity is the mother of invention. Necessity. When you feel the necessity that I'm really urgent, I'm totally helpless. It's not only me. Anybody who is born on this earth, they're totally helpless with COVID. It's totally helpless. And that's, how many of you are sure of this? That nobody's spared, including the ones with the greatest of the number of the security guys, right? You move and there are like 100 security guys protecting you. Even these people are not spared. How many you can feel confident? How many you are convinced of this fact? Raise hands. Yes, of course, for Prince Charles. Prince Charles, he contacted COVID. And what is that, his name? Boris Johnson, he contacted. And the Canadian, the Prime Minister. And many big shots. And those who do not contact the COVID, they have to get the jab as soon as possible. They have to run away from people. They have to run away from meeting with people. Because everybody's scared. It's not only you. Keep that in mind. This was what the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago. He already taught it. He already said that we all live we are in the grip of the fear. But people, well, what is known as the ignorance is bliss. When we are not aware, we live in bliss. In actuality, this is not a state of bliss. This is not a state of bliss. Okay. With this in mind, given that we have only 2 sessions, today and tomorrow, okay, I like to jump to the point. So this feeling of uncertainty, now we are lucky, the people on this earth. Today, we are lucky in ways of having understood what the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago, that everyone who's born on this earth, there is the reality of the fear within each one of us. There's a fear. Some people feel at one point, and other times they're mentally a little relaxed, and others don't feel now, later on. But the COVID-19 told us that no, everybody has this fear, uncertainty. Okay. Now the next question is, feeling of uncertainty, is it not exciting to have this feeling? Of course not. Nobody wants to have this feeling of uncertainty and this fear. Nobody wants that. So what is that thing which we don't like? We have to explore this. We know this, but psychologically, what is happening? This is the point. So for that matter, what we need to know is that particularly when the fear is so intense, what is happening within you? And so like whole energy gets drained. You have no energy to move around. You have no energy to think. You have no energy to explore. Whole energy is drained. Okay, how many of you had that experience? Anytime, once, at least one time in your life, where your energy is drained because of this, the fear and the feeling of the corrosion, feeling of uneasiness, intense fear, intense disturbance. Okay. Is there a solution? 100% yes. If you don't look for the solution, people are happy with the respite. Respite is not the ultimate solution. So people who look for respite, these are very unwise. People who will look for respite, but also long-term solution. These are wise people. So to look for the long-term solution, we really need to look at from inside, what is happening inside. So if you look at what is happening inside, the undeniably a very unpleasant feeling is coming within us. This is the point, the starting from point from where we begin, and then we go deeper. Okay. So this connects us to the understanding that the COVID-19, said, although I did not have the COVID-19, but anytime I can have it. So the fear is right now. I have the fear, although I don't have COVID-19 now, but the fear is there within me. The fear is there even before I actually have the COVID-19. The fear is there. So what is really happening? Unpleasant feelings happening because of this. The person. I'm talking about the empirical person. Empirical person meaning I who don't want suffering. This is a person. So this person comes into contact with the information of the COVID information, then the unpleasant feeling arises. What is happening? What is happening? It's just a web of the intricate information coming to play to give rise to this unpleasant feeling. Okay, so you get this information that the COVID can kill you. You can have it very easily. And COVID, one of the worst thing about COVID is that you can have it very easily. Very easily. Say 10 people are on one table talking, meeting, and then say one person has COVID, effectively being transmitted. Effectively, not even one person spared. Effectively transmitted. And if there's some open air, and then you are with the very high quality mask on, you may be spared. Otherwise, if you're like this, effectively it spreads. So all this information comes in contact with your mind, with your thinking mind, and then the process, neurons, the fear arises within you. So from this, what we learn is that this fear is because of coming in contact with the information. Coming in contact with the information. What information? Let's say external information. Now, what we see is that with the external information, then the subject, external information is the object, and the subject, your mind, that is disturbed. It wants to get away from this unpleasant feeling, but it cannot. So therefore, what do? You become nervous and you become disturbed, agitated. Disturbance occurs to you. So that disturbance is acutely unpleasant. And this disturbance with the fear, the disturbance in the form that I may die, I may suffer. Then it takes a form of the fear. It takes a form of the fear. Okay, so fear is accompanied with extremely unpleasant feeling. This unpleasant feeling, to run away from it, if you don't get a real good solution, then the way the man in which to try to run away from this is try to move, but it cannot move. So therefore, it becomes it moves. It say like it trembles. It vibrates like this. The mind, it moves like this. This is known as agitation, not peace, not at peace, agitation. So in a way, what I'm saying is that what is being moved is your mind. Whether you accept mind accept from the brain or not, it doesn't matter. But empirically, you feel the unpleasant feeling. Empirically, you could feel it. Realistically, you feel this. That is what is meant by mind. The agent which feels that is your mind. You don't want this mind to be disturbed. And this disturbance is a subject, and the cause of this, the factor is the external factor, the information about the COVID. So external factor coming in contact with the internal the subject, the mind, come in contact. Now, when you see that this is the threat to your life, then it gives rise to the fear, the subject, fear on the subject. Okay, this is the fear. Now, how to get rid of this fear? Two. One is, say, the temporary solution, the respite, temporary solution. And the other one is long-term solution. Long-term solution. Okay, let's say that if this table is moving, and then the moment I put my hand, it moves like this, and the water all just it spills. Then what I'll do for something so that that the table doesn't move. I find a chocolate, and I can use the chocolate to stop the table from moving. I put it down between the table leg and the floor. But the chocolate is very unstable. It can last for the next 10-20 minutes, and then it will break. So that is a temporary solution. It's not a lasting solution. Whereas if you really have a proper small wood, put it there, fix it with the glue, fix it well, it lasts for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. Okay, so there are two measures, the immediate measure, respite, and the long-term measure. So keep in mind, okay, let's say that the agitation that happens to us, this agitation, and this agitation which you don't want, and you are having it, and there's a prospect, let's say that you are having it, there's a pain. There's a prospect of having it, that's the fear. The prospect of having the agitation, the prospect of having, and the prospect of meeting with a problem, that's the fear. And the fear, if you look at, if you really explore it well, I can see that there are many who are doing Nalanda master's course, Nalanda diploma course. For you, it's much easier to understand it. For others, to make it very simple, what is meant by fear? So this fear can be understood on various levels. So for one time, I was giving a talk in Delhi University to the master's students, the masters in philosophy. And I was talking about how the fear is the problem. And then one of the students at the end of the talk said that, what are you talking about? We don't really have a fear. Okay, so the fear, it can vary from 1% fear to like 100% fear. For the ordinary people, only when the fear is like 50% and above, you can see that there is fear. When the fear is below 50%, you don't feel there is fear. We see this as normal. Okay, so whereas the good thing is that now we are talking about the fear all the time. So fear in degrees, 50% and above, this is fear. Ordinary people will classify that as fear. And 50% below, like 49, 40, 30, still fear. But keep in mind that other side also there. 40% fear means 60% peace. Let's not forget it. 60% peace. So 30% fear means 70% peace. 20% fear means 80% peace. For ordinary people, somebody having this 70% peace or 30% fear means 70% peace. Okay, the way above the average of being peaceful. Oh, he's a very happy person. She's a very happy person. In actuality, still there's a fear in the air, right? 30% fear is there. 20%, 10%. Can we reduce it to zero? Answer is, of course, yes, but don't follow blindly. We have to understand it through reasoning. Rationally, you should be convinced. If you're not convinced rationally, this is where we continue to suffer. We don't, eventually deep inside, we don't believe in what we are talking about. Whereas we can, if you don't follow blindly, instead, if we say they follow the rational thinking, Then you become so convinced. Once you're convinced, you fall under the category of the wise people. Okay, so now the point is that, okay, we are seeing that the fear diminishing and the peace increasing. Now, can we make this fear zero? To this question, what we need to know is, first of all, say, logically speaking, we see that we all want, we all want happiness. This is reality. We all want happiness. And some people may argue against me, saying that I don't really care about happiness. I want fulfillment. Oh, that's fine. You're looking for fulfillment. Whatever vocabulary, it doesn't matter. You're looking for something. Fulfillment, ease, happiness, whatever. This is what you're looking at. But did you fully get what you're looking for? Answer is no. How no? Because still we are moving. Still we are moving. Still we are moving means that we are still looking for something. So that way we see that the what am I really looking for? And some, in fact, from the Singapore, I know one very young girl. Now she must be in her 12 or 13. When I first met her, she was like, I think 6 or 7 years old. And then when she reached like age 9, 10, she started to ask big questions. I was not really expecting such questions coming from like a girl who was just aged 9, 10, very young. And her question was, why did we come on the earth? What's the meaning of life? Wow, these are big questions. I don't remember really having asked this question when I was even in my 20s. So, and this girl started to ask this question when she was in age 9, 10. That's amazing. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're struggling. And one of my friends, he said something very interesting. And that was like about 8 years ago. He was a young Tibetan boy. And who just joined a company for a job. And then after 1 year of job there, then somehow he came to know about Tibet House. He came to see me and then told me that, Geshe, I was into this job for the last like 1.5 years. Now I realize that I was just exploring what I'm doing, right? What's the purpose of life? So when you were in your school days, you think that the purpose of life is to get to a college. When you're in college, you think that the purpose of life is to get a job. When you get a job, that was the purpose of life, right? So this is what he was exploring. Then he said that I was exploring what's the purpose of my life. Then he said that early morning at like 7, okay, not too early, but morning, 7 or 8 o'clock, he just gets up. He wakes up, gets up. Oh, it's too late. I have to go to my work. So he rushed even without breakfast. And then at workplace, like just very quick, like 10 minutes of the lunchtime, and busy work. And then at, I'll say 6, 7 o'clock, he comes back. Then he would have a very quick dinner, maybe sometimes Maggi noodle, very easy one, instant noodles. And then he would just watch television, meant to relax himself. And it makes him more tired. Then he goes to bed. And the next morning, oh, it's already 8 o'clock. Again, he rushed. Then he said that my life is like a dog's life. There's no difference between me and the dog. The dog, early morning, the dog gets up. I also get up. And the dog would also leave the place. For what? To look for food. And also, I rushed, oh, it's already 8 o'clock. I rushed to my job. What is a job? It's a nice way of saying looking for food. So we are doing the same thing. And then coming back, I'm tired. I have one extra thing to do, that is watch television to make myself more tired. The dog does not have the television. So the dog goes to bed early. So that's extra good thing about the dog. Otherwise, there's no difference. For me, being a human being, For me, being a human being with a different brain, with a different higher level of the cognitive thought process, I'm not at all doing anything different from a dog. Wow, this amazing discovery. Okay, now what should we be doing? This is a question. What are we looking for? So to summarize, what are we looking for is that we are looking for, say, ways means to get away from uneasiness, get away from miseries. How many agree with me? Raise hands. This one fact. Number two fact is that we are looking for the happiness, if possible, happiness, fulfillment, ease, as much as possible. Raise hands. Okay, good. The next question is, to what extent will you keep doing that? Till you remove the miseries zero? Till you have the infinite happiness? Is this what you're looking for? All of us will say that if this is possible, for sure I'm looking for it. If this is possible. The next question is whether or not this is possible. This is the question. Whether or not this is possible. Okay, so let us not follow blindly. Yes, it is possible because the Buddha taught it. Yes, it's possible because Krishna taught it. Yes, it's possible because Jesus Christ taught it. Let us not say, okay, Baha'u'llah taught it, or Zoroaster taught it, or Prophet Muhammad taught it, or say the what? Okay, so the Jain founder.
Mahavir.
Okay, the Prophet Mahavir. Lord Mahavir said it. Okay, the point is that whether or not it is possible, this is a very serious question. And if the answer is yes, if you don't get the answer yes, then whatever we are doing meant to curb the suffering, meant to enhance the happiness, is all just respite, looking for temporary solution. Only if the answer is yes, I can get rid of suffering completely, and I can have the infinite happiness. Only if this is the answer, only when you get this answer, then what you do can be a lasting solution. So the Buddha said that let us not quote the Buddha, right? Get information and see how efficacious this teaching of the Buddha is. The Buddha said that we all have the perfect state of happiness, which is totally freed of all the miseries, totally freed of all the fears. This is the reality. If you, in the first place, if you don't discover this, all what we are doing, at times we may become so demoralized and totally become helpless, hopeless, and wordlessness. You'll feel that. Okay, so this is very much there. This is one thing. And of course, this is what is known as the concept of the perfect purity of, let's say, the gold, a pure gold. When it mixed with the soil, we see that it is very, nothing glows. But if you remove the mud, then the gold inside glows. You don't bring the glow from outside. Remove the mud, and the gold inside will start to glow. This is exactly what each and every one of us has, the state of perfection, where you will never experience any pain and your happiness is infinite. This is the reality. But next question is, how do I know this? How do I know this? How can I know this? This is so, so important. So therefore, we learn how to ask the right question in order to fulfill your aspirations. With the right question, you may not get the answer from me, you may not get the answer from the next person, but you may get the answer from the third person, fourth person, fifth person. So whether or not that is possible, this is the next question. So the answer is 100% yes. How yes? Okay, in a gist, we see that the sufferings that we go through, it is because of the external factor and the internal factors. External factor, for example, like COVID-19, for example, loss of job, for example, loss of near and dear ones, for example, your illness, or for example, like the fight with the conflict with the colleague. So these are external factors, and there's an internal factor as well. And we see that this is the wonder, the true source of ultimate happiness is within you 24/7. Honest until you unearth this, honest until you are aware of this, you are very poor. The moment you are aware of this, you become very confident. The example given was that a beggar with a solid diamond underneath the ground, underneath the very, a small hut underneath the ground of the floor of the small hut. As long as the beggar doesn't discover this presence of the diamond underneath the floor of the small hut, he remains a beggar. The moment he discovered this, perhaps he may be the richest person in his country. So the point is that we all have this diamond. How do I know this? Again, this is a question. Okay, so let's make it very simple. And given that the many of you, my friends, this concept known as the Buddha nature, or the nature of the perfect purity, which exists amongst everyone, the males, females, no difference. Educated, uneducated, no difference. Buddhist, non-Buddhist, no difference. Everyone has this treasure. Everyone has this treasure. So it is for this reason that the Buddha was extremely particular, and he was described as the rebel by the orthodox people in those days. Why? He talked about the abolition of the gender discrimination. He was totally against gender discrimination. Why he was against gender discrimination? In those days, the males are considered so important, and why he was against that? Because to say that one is important, there must be something important inside that person. To say that somebody is not important, that person should be missing that quality. And for him, and for now, if we discovered that, what he discovered, for him, this seed of perfection is the greatest of the treasure that can possibly exist in this universe. And this treasure, everyone has it, the males and the females. It's not that the males have a greater share of this quality. Everyone has it. This is what the Buddha, this is the confidence the Buddha has. It's on this ground that he's totally against any form of gender discrimination. He was totally against any form of discrimination against humanity, against the sentient beings, animals, and so forth. This is why the Buddha became so courageous to talk about equality. Okay, so if this quality is there within us, so the way and a manner when we studied about the fear is coming together of this mind. This mind, when I say mind, don't think of it as like a belief. Mind is something which you say where the fear is coming, unpleasant feeling is there. That agent is the mind. That mind, when it comes in contact with the external information, then depending on how you take it, sometimes when you don't know how to take it properly, then it resonates in the form of fear. Sometimes, okay, I'm sure many of you have that experience. Sometimes when you meet with somebody, you have to meet with somebody, and a person happened to be extremely kind. But physically, outwardly, the person may appear as little reserved. And then you have to meet the person. And meeting the person, the nervousness sinks in, uneasiness sinks in. But we meeting the first time. How many of you had that experience? Raise your hands. Very good. And then you meet the person the second time, third time. You will say that she is my godmother. He is my godfather, right? I can't really imagine. Say my mind, what am I? Whatever situation that I go through, the difficulties that I could go through, I can't imagine tackling it without this person's the love, care, attention, and so forth. But the first time when you met, you don't know the person so well. So because you don't know the person well, so what happens? The mind behaves in a very different way. That is known as the uneasiness. And the greater degree of that is known as agitation. And still greater degree of that prolonged version of that agitation known as depression. And the initial version, intense version is known as anxiety. Right? So the intense version is anxiety, and the prolonged version of that is depression. Now, so this happened due to the internal factor and external factor, internal mind and external object coming together, and then it erupts into this agitation. That is known as uneasiness, the uneasiness. You don't want it. You don't want it, but you are having it. You don't want it. There's a prospect of you having to face it every now and then. So you don't want it, and having the prospect to face it every now and then is known as fear. And that fear, say, okay, this lunch, I don't like to have pizza, right? Oh, but the cook is so fond of pizza, he may bring pizza, right? There's a prospect of getting the foods which you don't like. So that's a fear, but it's a very small fear, mild fear. So this fear can vary in degrees, So the point is that, and they say, oh, for ordinary people, only when it hits 50%, only then you classify that as fear. Before that, you don't classify that as fear. In actuality, there's also fear, because the fear is nothing. In simple terms, fear is a loss of freedom. Loss of freedom, or the prospect of losing the freedom. That's a fear. Now, how to get rid of this? Coming to know that fear is when you don't have the freedom, loss of freedom. When you don't have the freedom, when you lost your freedom, that is known as the fear. Okay, so when do you experience the loss of freedom? When do you experience the loss of freedom? Let's say, to make it very quick, let's say that, okay, let's say, how many had a very scary dream in your life? At least once, raise your hands. How many had very scary dreams? Okay, all of us, we have this very scary dream. Okay, so why were you scared in the dream? Why were you scared? Priyanka, why were you scared in the dream? Tell me why. Unmute.
Because I was in danger.
Oh, you're in danger. It was just dream. You are not in danger.
Because it felt real.
Priyanka, tell me.
It felt real.
Huh?
It felt real.
It felt real. You're getting it? Okay. There was no danger there, but you felt it real. You felt it real. You're getting it? Okay, now look. When you feel it real, or when you see something outside your mind, when you see something outside your mind, the dream, you know that is your mind, but in the dream you see this is outside your mind. When you see something is outside your mind, then which you have more freedom, something which is your mind, or something which is outside your mind, or something which is in your hand, or something which is outside your hand, which you have more freedom. Of course, what is in your hand, you have more freedom, right? Okay. Likewise, something which is in your mind and something which is outside, which you have more freedom. Of course, what is in your mind? Just I can imagine. I say the robbers. Let's say the beating me up. I can just imagine it, but I have no fear. Whereas in the dream, I dream of robbers beating me up. There's so much of fear and uneasiness because I believe it is real. Now, when I think, although I'm thinking it, still it doesn't give fear in me because I know that it's not real. It's coming from my mind. So from this, the point is that the more you see the object, information as real, more the fear. So then the more you see it's real, then you see that there's your freedom to control that. is less. So lack of freedom, that is the lack of freedom is the fear. There is pain, there is misery. Okay, with this in mind, so finally, it's amazing how your mind can play and your mind can control this feeling. Otherwise, unpleasant feeling, you can control it to the extent that it gives rise to a very pleasant feeling. Okay, one example that I give is that recently, not too recently, last year in the month of, I think, August, September, I was giving a talk like this to a group of the people from Italy. And it was, again, how to deal with anxiety. And then one person at the end of the talk raised his hand and said that, Geshe, you talked about how to tackle the anxiety. But in reality, I cannot really get out of the anxiety. For example, let's say that they were going to go up on the terrace. From there, when I look down, I see the whole street empty. Otherwise, this street used to be so lively, full of people. Now it's so empty and so gloomy. It makes me feel so lonely, gloomy, hopeless. It's acutely painful to see that. Okay, so look, so this person was feeling agitated and feared, seeing the external object as empty street. And then I said that, are you sure that the street is really empty? The person, yes, it's very empty. Then I said, wow, if I were there, I would feel so happy. And he said, why? Because that these streets being empty is guaranteeing, giving me the guarantee that all the people, they're being so kindly following the rules to avoid COVID. They're making sure that, okay, don't worry, Geshe, stay there in home and we are not coming in the street. So the COVID will not spread. Be safe, be happy. Wow, I'm so happy. In a way, like they're coming to my door. It's much better. They're coming to my and knock at the door. Geshe, you are safe, don't worry. Far better than that is that they don't come on the street. That is what they're telling me. That don't have fear, right? We are following the rules. COVID will not spread in your place. Wow, it's so good. And the person said, oh, that's very different way of looking at it. It's nice. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is that the same object, how you think, your subject, how you think, that makes the whole difference. That makes the whole difference. Okay. So on the, yeah. So the point is that how you think with the object of the object, that makes a difference. That determines the state of your mind, the feelings inside. And this feeling inside you, this feeling, if it is pleasant, you want the pleasant feeling. So you want to sustain that feeling. This feeling is sustained. This feeling is because of the street being very empty. The COVID is there, but the street is empty. So you just look at the street, you feel happy. So happiness comes in you instead of the gloominess. Okay. So for that matter, what is so important is finally to acquire the control in your own hand, to control of your feelings in your own hand. Don't let the remote control in the hands of the external objects. The remote control must be kept in your own hand. How to do that? Just change how you look at things. Change your perspective. Change your perspective, and your feelings will be changed. Feelings will be changed, and it's beautiful. And say the one person, usually, let's say that the person, just the mere sight of the person agitates you. Let's say. And then you change your perspective, and the mere sight of the person gives you such a joy. That joy that you feel now, due to your change of your perspective, far excels the joy of you seeing your mother and seeing the other people who are close to you. Because you are doing something which transcends ordinary people's capability. And the joy that the reward of the joy that you get far excels the joy of the ordinary people, what they get. So from this way of tackling your mind, can be done on different layers, on different levels. And the ultimate way by which to manage this mind, ultimate way by which to manage the mind to guarantee that you are not being affected by the external factors at all, is known as the wisdom of emptiness. So what is this? What is this? To give an example, let's say that I'm having a dream. I'm having a dream of being an Italian. And then at the Italy where the COVID is simply rising up, COVID number is so increasing so fast. And then I go to to my terrace, look down, the street is very empty, and I feel so gloomy. Oh no, this used to be a very lively street. Now it's so empty, gloomy. And then I met with 𝗍𝗲, right, through this the WhatsApp or Zoom, and 𝗍𝗲 said, "Oh, it's really empty." I said, "Yes." Then they said, "You are very lucky. Here, nobody follows the rules. So there's the danger is so high. And in your case, people are following the rules. It's so lucky. You're so lucky." Wow, I'm so happy, right? So instantly, the unpleasant feeling changes to a very pleasant feeling. And then next time, I just feel like climbing up to the terrace. I just feel like going up to the terrace to look at the empty street. Feel so happy. Okay, this is one solution. Better than the solution is wake up. Wake up that you are not in Italy with the the peak of the COVID rising so high, right? Wake up that none of the contents of the dream can affect you. None of the contents of the dream can affect you. Wake up. So it's for this reason that the Buddha is revered as the fully awakened one. The fully awakened one. So the Buddha, his own experience of being fully awakened, he taught us the path, how to wake up from the sleep of ignorance, and that you be freed from all the contents of samsara, all the contents of the universe. So this says, where you discover that the dream is not real. Nothing of the dream is not real. You see, everything of the dream is all just a projection of one's own fear. There's nothing of one's own mind, nothing to be feared about. This is what we realize. And I'm sure you will say that, but if a real robber comes or a real thief comes to break in your house, will you not be scared? Okay, so look, believe it or not, if you get a glimpse of how everything is like a dream, if you get a glimpse of this, your fear will disappear. Even if you say what conventional people, they're going through a dream. They're talking of the dream, right? If somebody comes, this dream. Whereas in your realization, it's very different. That even what we see is real is actually dream. Dream, there are two kinds, conventional dream and an unconventional dream. From the conventional dream, we are being freed from the conventional dream every day. Every day we wake up from the conventional dream. But from the unconventional dream, we never woke up. We have never woken up from that unconventional dream. Now our job is wake up from not only from the conventional dream, but also from the unconventional dream. To see that everything that I'm seeing, just the dream is coming from my mind. Everything that I'm experiencing is all coming from the mind. The moment you realize that, you're waking up, you're free, that you are not being affected by external factors at all. So there, object and the subject. Object cannot affect you anymore, because object cannot affect you anymore. The mind, which is affected by the object, like the wave, the ocean. The true nature of the ocean is so beautiful and pleasant. But when that is affected by the wind, waves, very ferocious waves are created, tsunamis created. When the wind subsides, then the ocean, all these ferocious waves, they will all go back into the ocean to make the ocean very beautiful. So that you are not being affected by the wind of the external factors at all. At that point, your mind really feels its true nature, so peaceful, not being affected. When not being affected, this is known as free from agitation. Free from agitation, this is known as the say gaining total freedom. No prospect of losing the freedom. The fear dissolves. Okay, the next question was, how can I wake up? That's for tomorrow. Okay, 𝗩𝗲𝗓, wanted to some questions as you planned.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
𝗩𝗲𝗓, we do have time, don't worry. We can, the next class, I can extend it to like another 15 days later, 15 minutes later, don't worry.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Geshe-la, for this very precious teaching and for setting the stage and, you know, really stopping at a point where you really want to know what is coming next. So please, I request if anybody has any questions that you would like to ask, you can unmute yourself and ask Geshe-la questions.
Hi, Geshe-la.
Geshe-la, there is a question in the chat box from Kim-la, who is asking, please, can you elaborate on conventional and unconventional dream? Thank you. Geshe-la, we cannot hear you. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Please, yes,
Can you hear
thank
me?
you.
Okay. On the what is the conventional dream is and what is unconventional dream. Conventional dream is the normal dream. Normal dream, we have so much of fear, and then then the next day we wake up, the fear dissolves, knowing that it was just my own projection. It was just part of my own dream, not real. Unconventional dream is the phenomenon, the phenomena which exists, but they exist by the power of your own mind. The way the conventional dream is projected by your mind, everything else is projected by your mind. Therefore, it is known as the unconventional dream. Oftentimes also referred to as the illusion-like. They are not illusion, they are illusion-like. They are not dream, they are dream-like. So what is dream-like is referred to as unconventional dream. They are not dream. The good thing is that there are two things to give the difference between the conventional dream and unconventional dream. Conventional dream, it does not follow the rules of cause and effect. Conventional dream does not follow the rules of the cause and effect, right? Okay, you hold a flower, and I'm hungry, then it can change into chocolate. Then I can eat the chocolate. So this says all the weird things happen in the dream. Weird things which deny the law of cause and effect. The infallibility of the law of cause and effect is being denied in the conventional dream. But in the unconventional dream, every single the event is all determined by the efficacy of the law of cause and effect. There's the infallible law of cause and effect operating within this unconventional dream. Yet we can, if you know that it is like a dream, it is my own mental projection, you'll be freed. That is the beauty. It's amazing. Then you see that, let's say, you get a glimpse of this experience, that what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, actually is all just projection by my own mind. Besides this, from the object, there's nothing really there. The moment you get a glimpse of this, say the peace that you feel, we have never ever experienced this peace before. So this peace, if somebody takes a pill or capsule and gets this peace, the billionaires will be busy buying this capsule. Unfortunately, no such capsules are here, guaranteed. It's only through the study, reflection, and meditation on the reality of the emptiness that this experience can possibly be expected. Otherwise, not at all. Okay, good. Any more questions?
Geshe-la, really thank you so much. Geshe-la's schedule is so busy right now, and he's been so kind to take this time out. He's back-to-back teaching, sometimes 3 or 4 sessions. So really, thank you so much for setting the stage, Geshe-la, for going deeper tomorrow, and for these very experiential, felt examples to connect it to our daily life. Thank you so much. Yeah. And together we will now do a recitation of the Heart Sutra, the short version of the Heart Sutra. So Geshe-la, we thank you so much for the teachings today, and we look forward to connecting with you tomorrow.
Okay, Tejala, thank you. And given that the tomorrow is going to be the actual emptiness, which in the monastery universities, the monk scholars, they study for like 20, 30, 40 years into 365 days, into 14 hours, minimum 14 hours a day. So we are expecting to do this in 1.5 hours tomorrow, right? So come prepared. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. Geshe-la has the ability to offer us the most subtle and profound teachings, yet in a very simple way. So as you can see, it's such a huge task to try and communicate this in 2 short sessions, yet we are so grateful and these teachings from you, Geshe-la. So we'll just do a recitation of the Heart Sutra. I will do a screen share. The Heart Sutra is the essence of the wisdom teachings. This is a short Heart Sutra, so it's very good to leave in print. So some of you will be already aware. Those of you who are not, I hope you will really enjoy this recitation. Thank you. So I'm about to share my screen. So we can chant together.
At one time, residing on Vulture's Peak at Rajgir, accompanied by a large and a large assembly of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was engaged in a summary on the varieties of existence. Known and at that time, the great being and Bodhisattva, the noble Avalokitesvarating the practice of the perfection of wisdom, and he saw that the 5 aggregates too were empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the youth Shariputra spoke to the great being and Bodhisattva by nature. Form is empty, and emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form is not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling and discrimination, compositional mental factors, and consciousness are empty. All phenomena without characteristics, not created, not ceasing to be, without defilement, not separate from defilement, not decreasing nor increasing. Shariputra, in emptiness, therefore, there is no form, no feelings, no discrimination, no compositional mental factors, no consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smells, no tastes, no tactile sensations, and no mental phenomena. There are no elements of form, and so on up to no elements of mental phenomena. There are no elements of the mind, and so on up to no elements of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, no cessation of ignorance, and so on, up to no old age and death, and no cessation of old age and death. Likewise, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, for bodhisattvas there is no attainment, and thus they depend on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds unobstructed and without fear, transcending completely all error, they travel to the finality of nirvana. All the Buddhas of the three times likewise depend on the perfection of wisdom. Buddhas, consummate in complete enlightenment. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom, therefore, is a mantra of great knowledge, a mantra unsurpassable, a mantra comparable to the incomparable, a mantra pacifying all suffering. Know it therefore to be true. Tathagata gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. Shariputra, the great bodhisattvas, in this way, train the profound perfection of wisdom. The Blessed One rose from solid the great being and bodhisattva, the noble Avalokiteshvara. He spoke. Excellent, he said, excellent, excellent, son of the noble lineage and the great being, the Bodhisattva, noble Avalokiteshvara, as well as the entire assembly, the gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas were filled with joy and praised the words
Thank you so much, Geshe, and thank you to all the participants. We really look forward to having you back with us tomorrow for a very intense and beautiful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Geshe, thank you.
Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
Thank
all
you.
of you.
Geshe-la, thank you.
Teja.
Thank you,
Geshe-la,
Geshe-la.
thank you. Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank
Geshe-la.
you. Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.